Hi, and welcome to episode number 10 of the Tranquil Cottage Knits podcast. Today is Sunday, September 3rd, 2017, and I'm your host, Michelle. You can find me on Ravelry as Tranquil Cottage, and then on Instagram as Tranquil Cottage Knits, and you can find the blog at www.tranquilcottageknits.weebly.com. So hi, happy Sunday. How are you guys? I hope everybody is doing well. I am out here in the yard enjoying a glorious morning. It has been gray and rainy for the last few days, and so today is like the first day that the sky is just that we've seen any blue whatsoever. So I will take every tiny bit I can get, and so it's actually really glorious out here today. Last night when I was out walking the dogs, I could totally see their breath, and mine. It was just that cold and that wet, and so I came out this morning. I was full on packing my Find Your Fade, ready to come out here in the yard and wrap myself up in wool. Walked out the door, it was like 72 degrees. What is this? What is this? So I put the shawl back and I came out with my iced coffee instead of hot coffee. But as always, I am out here in the yard with the Dups, my Dupper Dogger Doodles, Callie and Tucker. Callie is my 55-pound lab, and Tucker is my 92-pound shepherd. And they are out there wreaking havoc, digging holes in the yard. I don't know what to do with them. But this is really the first day that they've gotten out in days because of the weather. And so I'm just going to let them have at it for a little while, and I'll fill in the holes later because they just have some energy and they need to get it out. Tucker, if he does not get out enough energy, then he expends it in barking. So I will let him dig. So, man, I can't get over how lovely today is. I am just really kind of grateful. We typically have beautiful weather here in the Shenandoah Valley anyway, but it's just, I find that after rainy days, I just truly have an appreciation for a beautiful day. So that's where I'm at. This should have been like a 3-day weekend. I ended up working yesterday. So, and today is laundry day. So, but I'm glad I get a day off tomorrow, and I'm hoping to spend it doing some fun things. Namely working on my Rhinebeck sweater. Yay, excited to go to Rhinebeck this year. The pattern is the Slinky Ribs sweater. It can be found in Custom Knits by Wendy Bernard. And as I've mentioned before, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I've talked about this sweater quite a lot. When this book first came out, I fell in love with this sweater, and I've wanted to knit it ever since, and I'm finally doing it. So this is the picture. And I actually went to a store the other day looking at ribbon because I can't find a tank top that has the colors of the sweater in it. So I'm just going to take a regular tank top and I'm going to put ribbon on it myself and redo the straps. And because I really love the aesthetic of how they're, go back and show you. I really love the aesthetic of how there's the tank top underneath and the ribbon that crisscrosses, which is the edging of, you see, there's like a beaded edging on the tank top underneath. I really love that look, and I think I can achieve that with a regular tank top. I could sew it, but I am wretchedly horrible at sewing. Wretchedly horrible. Just don't even. I can barely sew buttons on. It's not that I don't have the skill. I know how to do it. I'm just not good at it, and I think the main reason I'm not good at it is just not enjoyable for me. I want to sew, I want to make quilts. I want to do all these things. I just find all of the things that need to be done to do it exhausting, tedious. Like, I'm happy to spin. I don't mind putting my leader on. I don't mind putting a new drive band on my wheel. Those are all things that have to be done to set up my wheel for spinning. But they're okay to me. I don't mind doing them at all. When it comes down to what I need to do to sew, winding a bobbin, threading the machine, getting the appropriate color thread, cutting out patterns, ironing, facing, just like, ugh. And I just, my mom was an incredible sewer. She didn't do it a lot in her later years. She had vision problems and arthritis problems, and so she didn't do a lot later. But one of the things she did, the person who bought her house was a friend of ours, and she actually had lived with us when I was a teenager. And so we felt that it was just the perfect thing at the perfect time, that, you know, she was looking for a place to live. And so she bought my mom's place. She came into it without a lot of stuff of her own, so I left her my mom's kitchen curtains that my mom had hand sewn. And I just said, if you ever move out or if you don't want them anymore, I want them back, because Mama sewed them. And they're beautiful. They're yellow plaid, happy curtains. Can curtains be happy? They're happy. So this friend recently, after staying at Mom's place for a year, got into a much better position and was able to buy her own house. So she now has her own place, and she sent me a message this week saying that she has Mom's curtains for me. So I'm excited to get those, because they're going to go in our kitchen here at the Tranquil Cottage. But it was just, Mom was so good. She was so good at sewing. She never really got into quilting, but she did sew. My mom, there's a lovely photo of her and my dad together, and I used to think this dress was so pretty that she was wearing. And so one day we were going through the photo albums, and I was telling her, I was like, oh, that dress is so pretty. She's like, oh, yeah. I went to the fabric store, I think she said, like, either that morning or the day before, and she bought the fabric for it, laid out her pattern, did everything, and then I think that was it. Maybe she got her stuff on the Friday or something, and then, like, the next morning, she just laid out her pattern, cut everything out, sewed it up, and wore the dress to the Marine Corps ball that night. That's how good she was. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful dress. I have no sewing skills. And if you follow the Wrapped in Wool podcast, Becky, she does cross stitch. So pretty. They're beautiful. She did stockings, Christmas stockings, for herself and her husband and her son. And they are adorable. Me? No skill whatsoever. And even more so, it's just not something I enjoy, so I don't invest time on it. Even though I love the finished products, doing it for me is a slog, so I don't. There's so many crafty things I would like to get into. Some crafty things that I would just love to have the finished products of. Maybe when I don't have to work and I don't have to be so judicious with how I spend my time. Maybe at retirement. What's retirement? So anyway, enough about the crafts I don't do. Back onto the crafts I do. So I just showed you the picture. I am working on my Rhinebeck sweater. It is in Elspeth Lavold Silky Wool in Rusty Red. Here you go. And I had picked this up on a sale at Fiber Space. Just feels pretty good. I thought it might be a little... Sometimes when you knit silk, sometimes it's a little crunchy, and I thought maybe this would be crunchy knit up, but it's really not. And I get hot easily, So I'm really glad that for this to be my Rhinebeck sweater, I'm really glad that the fabric itself is actually pretty thin, but the fact that it is knit and ribbing kind of bulks it up. So that, to me, that just means I'm going to have kind of better control over the temperature of the cardigan, or the sweater. I am right now working down across the front and working on the button band. So that's going to be about 3 inches long. And then after that point, I will get to join in the round. And at that point, I usually zoom. So I only have 6 weeks to get this sucker done. And I am aiming, hopefully, to have it done in like 2. Quick thing. This is the bag that my Slinky Ribs is living in. This is a large size bag from To Heart House Creations. You can find them on Etsy. Her bags are extremely reasonably priced. They're kind of thick, dense. I do like that. This sweater bag, let's see, will sit up. It's got some structure to it. And I like her bags quite a bit. It has a plain black lining. But I thought that I could use some luck getting the sweater done in time for Rhinebeck, so it is living in my lucky bag. Again, that's To Heart House Creations on Etsy. So when I came out this morning and realized I didn't need to be wrapped in wool to stay warm, I came out and started making my show notes today. And I was so excited to make my show notes. I'm such a geek because I had new pens. Do any of you guys have an office supply fetish? I love getting new pens. When I get a pack of new pens, one of the first things I do is crack them all open and then write with all of them because I want to see how they write. So, I'm just like messy handwriting, but I'm just like scribbling in this pen and I'm just like, oh, new office pens. And I was told, rumor has it, that the Staples locally is going out of business, which is really kind of sad, but I don't go to the Staples by my house anyway because I go to the one that's by work. 'Cause it's just when I need stuff, I'm usually at work. So I'm kind of sad about that. You want to see local businesses grow, not collapse. And while obviously Staples is a big company, they do employ people locally, so I'm kind of sad about that. So the reason that my Slinky Ribs had to go into a sweater bag with 4-leaf clovers all over it, I need to be lucky, is because I really need to be lucky and finish it quick, because I am stocking a second Rhinebeck sweater. Why? Why pick a second sweater when I'm not confident I'm going to get the first one done? Anyway, I'm going to do my best. So I was stalking some patterns on Ravelry, and I love all you other podcasters who tell me what you're looking at and what you're stalking and what patterns have caught your eye, because it really does make me mindful of a lot of patterns that I would normally just kind of pass by. And so I got stuck on this one. This is Maple Cotton Candy by Amy Herzog. It is so pretty. I don't even know if you guys can see that. Anyway, so pretty. And I really want to knit it. It's just, here's the front. How pretty is that? So, I really want to knit a second. Second sweater for Rhinebeck. It's hard for me. It's one of the reasons I appreciate when podcasters post or talk about sweaters that they're looking at, because I find that I fall in love with maybe sweaters that just aren't right for my body style. I fall in love with the art of them, with the design of them, the aesthetic. But then it's not going to look good on me, and I can tell. But one of the beautiful things about knitting your own clothes is that you can totally free up whatever element you need to make it yours, to really adjust it to your body style. But this is Jaleesa, and I would love to knit that sweater. I just don't think it's going to look good on me. But it is so pretty. It's just such a fitted sweater, and I don't have a large bust. That's one thing that a lot of clothing designers completely forget about. They think if you're a larger girl, you are well endowed. As Prairie Girl Susie would say, in the booble region. I am a bigger girl, but I am not well endowed. So sometimes sweaters will make me look boyish. Sometimes, I don't know, it just doesn't look right. And the last thing I want is to put hours upon hours upon hours and, $100 worth of yarn or $200 worth of yarn into something that makes me look like, look the same way as I would if I was just wearing a sweatshirt. Not what I want. So, I'm working hard to learn better how to customize sweaters for me, and how to pick out my problem areas or my lack of endowment areas and endow them. You know what I mean. Emphasize the right parts and downplay the wrong parts. And I have to say that Amy Herzog class on Craftsy is really awesome for that. So if you have not given it a shot, you totally should. If you have angst over getting your sweaters to fit right, there's just so much great information. And it's information that I use all the time. So sorry about that. I paused really quickly because I wanted to make sure I was giving you guys the names of the classes correctly. The two classes that I have enjoyed immensely are Knit to Flatter with Amy Herzog and Sweater Modifications for a Custom Fit with Amy Herzog. This is what the front of the classes look like, and these are available on Craftsy, and I enjoyed them so flippin' much, just so much, and it's given me really the courage. While I started the sweater, the Slinky Ribs, while I started it with the pattern from Custom Knits, I'm at the point now where visually I can see where I'm going and am altering the pattern as I go to get what I want out of it. That's not courage that I would have had maybe 2-3 years ago. It certainly is not courage that I would have had when I was heavier, and to rip back an entire section of sweater was literally hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work, and then hours and hours of reknitting, and also angst about making maybe a yarn that is a really nice yarn, making it unhappy when I frog it, because some fibers just don't frog as well, and anything with hair tends to snag, and you don't want to waste yarn, you don't want to ruin yarn when it's really good yarn. And so I just didn't have the courage. Now now it's like, oh, that was 3 hours of knitting, no big deal, I'll rip back. So I think it was 15. Oh, so that's a big thing. So I know Amy Herzog doesn't watch this, but if she ever does, thank you so much. And thank you to Amy Beth from The Fat Squirrel Speaks, because it was one of her podcasts that actually talked about Amy Herzog's designs or her like fit to flatter and butt darts, things like that. So I got that information from Amy Beth, which made me go look up more Amy Herzog stuff, which made me get the Craftsy classes, which made me a much, much better knitter and a much happier knitter, and honestly a much more prolific knitter, because now I have courage to knit things I never would have even touched before. So that was kind of awesome. Other than that, it is going to be a lovely day here at the Tranquil Cottage. I made a pot of chili last night, so it'll be chili again for dinner tonight, and it's going to be a laundry day. But aside from the laundry, it's going to be a knitting day and a relaxing day and a fun day. And I hope all of you guys have a relaxing, fun day with time to knit too. Maybe a little laundry on the side. I hope that you guys just have an awesome day and an awesome week coming, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.